What's up, friends and professionals? Welcome to another episode of the Model Lending Podcast, Season 3. I'm bringing you a treat today. Number one, this is going to get to radical places and you're going to enjoy it. But Chris Ross is joining today as an entrepreneur and investor, TV, radio personality. But before all that, before he was a podcaster that dropped the win-win effect and had 2 million views in the first year, this guy climbed the charts, became a top 1% salesperson, developed 2 nationally accredited sales business programs, sold those, huge entrepreneur career, tons of great stories. And as you're focusing in, or if you're following along for Season 3, we're talking about stories that inspire, stories that motivate, stories that teach us lessons, stories that relate to what you're dealing with every single day as a mortgage professional. How do you push through tough times? How do you deal with adversity? How do you take on the burden of what you're trying to do and drive to the success and the career heights you're capable of? And so with that, let's bring on Chris and have a radical show. Back again, brother. Good to see you. We're doing a little WandaVision intro thing, so we're building through the decades.
Dude, that was dope, man. I like the fedora. That was great, man. He looks like you should be in London, man. That was pretty cool. You just needed one of those smoky pipes.
Dude, I'm feeling you, man. So for those of you that are just tuning in live today, you don't know, Chris and I actually pre-recorded a podcast yesterday on how to do podcasting, and that's coming out in a little bit. So that was wild. So him and I have been rapping 2 days in a row, which is sweet. But Chris, dude, I love your story. I love the trajectory you've been on. I love everything about what you give back to the community. And so today, thanks for joining, obviously, for this season and talking about stories. You have a radical story. You have radical stories.
I feel like I lived a couple different lives. Yeah. I don't know how the hell I'm still alive, but yeah, it's cool.
So here's where I want to start. And then I know we're going to jump to radical places. But I mentioned this in the introduction. You launched this incredible podcast, The Win-Win Effect, 2 million downloads. It kind of launched a whole new trajectory of your career. Right. But before that, there's all this stuff that happened in your life before that moment. And obviously there's all this stuff that's going to happen in the future. But can we go back a little bit? Share the story about how you became this top 1% sales guy. Share the story about how you created these programs, what it was about. Because what I loved hearing about it when you and I have talked organically offline is, you just approached it with a different mindset on how you approach this field. And I think it's super relevant to mortgage salespeople too. So back it up and share what happened in that whole space.
Sure. I'm probably military. I served in the United States Navy for 5 years, proudly, and came back with, of course, they give you a GI Bill, and so give you a little bit of college money. So I traded my, I guess you would say, well-being for college. Because, back in the day when we were young and not kidding anymore, that was Arrested Development little reference.
Yes.
For those out there a little older. So back in the day when we were young and not kidding anymore, we had to, the only way to really make it in this world is to obviously get education, right? Yeah. So, and go to college. Well, my parents, great parents, they did the best they could. They gave me everything that I potentially would have needed to build a good life and a quality life and living by really good principles and morals. But when I went to the military, got out of the military, I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. Yeah. I just know I didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't like I didn't enjoy it. It was, I didn't want to re-enlist. If I was going to do 8, I was going to do 20. So I was like, do I really want to invest? I think I've got what I needed from this. And what's funny is the honor, courage, commitment, core values of the United States Navy. And I built my life around that, that's not a slogan. That's a real life, like commitment, so honoring within yourself, courage, you having the courage to do something where people are telling you can't do shit. Right. So, and that's difficult for most people. And especially, and I relate that to entrepreneurship. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are trying to make it in this world and they're getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
And why they're getting punched in the face or allowing themselves to get punched in the face and don't realize they're recreating the same stuff. Well, again, fast forward a little bit. When I went to education, trade school sales, that's completely different than normal sales. Okay.
Yes.
They don't even call the department sales. They call it admissions. Okay. So I learned how to do sales and by just reading energy. And I just had an uncanny ability to be able to ask powerful questions to force you indirectly to make a decision. This is what is in the best interest of you, short-term, long-term. I was blowing people out. Like normally what a campus would do online or on site, they would do like around 70 enrollments. I was doing 80 to 90 enrollments myself.
Yeah. So Chris, back this up because
right,
like mortgage people, and this is so translative into our industry.
Sure.
You get stuck in the same questions. You get stuck in the same like, well, and I loved your approach to this. You came at this, whether intentionally or just organically, with a different way to ask questions and a different way to engage. Do you remember what some of the questions you would ask?
Yes, right from the beginning. I still remember, and Yulitza Kronemeyer, if you're listening to this, I love her to death.
Shout out.
She was my director of admissions for the first trade school that I was enrolling students into. I went in for an interview, and she goes, will you shut up enough to be able to make it happen? That's what she said to me. No joke. She gave me a script, and I was like, this is bullshit. I don't want to read this.
Yes.
I said, so if I do it my way and I do it morally and ethically, I don't need to read this, right? She was cool with it. So what I did is I used my own ability and just a way, like I grew up in an Italian family. My grandfather, he was very comical. I'm talking about very comical man, but he wasn't comical around his wife and my granny, right? But we go into a barber shop and he would hit you with one-liners right off the cuff. He's like, what's up, big time? And he would just say whatever he wanted to say. And that's what I did on the phone, because my job was to call students, prospective students, to get their attention. And I know that, hey, this is Chris calling from blah, blah, blah trade school. That's not going to get their attention. No. Hang up. So I was like, well, I'm not going to make all these dials and the leads suck. So what do? I went to the mall. I'm telling you, I am a natural born hustler. And I've been hustling my whole life. So if the leads aren't working, you're not working, you don't know what you're doing just yet. Well, I cut my teeth on just having a normal conversation.
Yes.
And granted, it was a good thing, but the programs inside of that trade school, they pretty much had anything. I still remember that one of the pivotal moments in my career, I knew I was on to something massive. When I got on the phone and I was asking questions, like she was from Jersey. She moved down to South Carolina. She was, I was asking a lot of questions. She goes, so what do you do for a living? She's like, I'm a stripper. I didn't even blink. I didn't hesitate. I didn't blink. I didn't do anything. I just kept going. Dude, I ended up enrolling. The best way to enroll people or the best way to sell someone is selling through them to everybody they know. She brought me every girl in the strip club for the aesthetics program. And that's what they wouldn't want to do anyway. So, I mean, just hook them up. Like you're giving them a way to start making money before they go to college or, surgical technology, medical assisting. But once I started learning how to train it, and then I started studying the psychology books, how the human brain worked, I thought it was nuts. It's like something, I don't do anything you do. Nothing you do. I don't do any of that stuff. I was enrolling people by packs, like group enrollments. They're investing 50, 70K. So then I did that for about 4 years. Yeah. Became, man, it was powerful. It started like I was a hot commodity, bro. Like they just wanted to know how to do this. And I started enrolling students and teaching people how to do it morally and ethically to get them to the outcome they were looking for, short-term, long-term. And then it's all about future pacing. If I can future pace and have you visualize from my words that I'm using and painting that brush, you can see what your life could be like. And then I'm gonna paint the brush and I'm gonna paint that picture for what your life is gonna look like when you tell me no.
Dude, so there's a lot of mortgage professionals, even like myself back in the glory days, which are taught through scripting. Yeah, here's the script book, and there's a lot of people that have gotten through that now, but it's so crazy to watch your story of being like, yeah, I'm not reading this. I'm gonna do this my own way. I refused. And just coming in. But that's a huge lesson. That's a huge story for people to understand. Because I'm assuming as you were learning your own way, there was interesting things that happened. Maybe it didn't work the way you thought. Maybe you said something like, oh, that didn't work. And then you kind of had to figure out your voice in this.
I did. Well, you start fine tuning your approach. I mean, because what works for you is not going to work for everybody. I love that. So if I'm calling somebody on the phone, they have unique, special talents and experiences, and they come from different places in the world. Me going into the military is one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, because I come from Charleston, South Carolina, and I started meeting people all around the world. And that kind of opened up my eyes to there's so much out here. You got people in the United States that don't ever leave their state. They think that state's a country. Yeah. Do you see you know what I mean? So when you start asking questions, I'm just a naturally curious individual. So I'm going to keep asking questions, and I want to understand why your brain is working the way it is and why you think this way. And if I change the way you think, I can change the way you do everything.
Bro, I hope everybody heard that, and I want to hammer it home because in lending, everyone's the normal thing for a customer is what's your rate, what's your rate, what's your fees, what's the deal, what's the deal, and there's loan officers that get flustered by that. They jump, oh, here's my rate, and they just. But what Chris is expounding upon, whether I don't care what type of thing you're selling, is this guy Chris, you're immediately going deeper with somebody. You're immediately
I don't give you the Sunday school stuff.
No,
we're going in
right down, which is such a cool message.
Right. Well, and sometimes people won't allow you to get deep with them.
Well, so how do you deal with that?
That's perfect. Well, you start asking questions and asking permission to go deeper.
Oh, yeah.
Ask permission. I ask permission to even have a conversation with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, do you have 15 minutes? No. Like, would you like to invest 5 minutes of your time to learn something you've never learned before? They're like, what? This is a trade school. I'm talking about this. I was using these questions when I was I wasn't making any commission. And then when Facebook bought Instagram and took off, it was a hot commodity overnight, bro. Like all these people wanted me to line sales, marketing, operation, fulfillment, because trade schools are different.
Mm-hmm.
The only way for them to keep their accreditation, they need to have a passing review over 90%. That means go through the program, get placed into a job. Okay. When they get placed into a job, you have to keep your credit. So you have FAFSA, you have all this government, student funding and whatnot. They have to utilize. So if I put them in a wrong program and they didn't go get a job, guess what?
Yeah.
That's a reflection on how well I did my job.
Yeah.
So when I looked at it in more of a bigger picture, I was looking at it more of a 3 to 5 year plan for them. And when I started training that, because they're thinking about, I just need to enroll this person into school. Yeah. No, I'm enrolling you through that. I'm setting you up for your career. Some of these people I still talk to that I enrolled them into a program.
How did you deal with somebody who didn't want to go down that path with you? How'd you deal with a customer who's like, I don't.
I put you on a never be successful list. I do have a folder. No shit. I do have a folder on my desk. It says Ass Clown. I mean, do you ever seen someone like a kid cry at Toys R Us? Like lay on the ground and throw a temper tantrum? Like, oh my God. And then they wake up for a second and they go, and then they realize the person is going to give them the toy. Like, I've never seen someone fight off success as much as that, in those conversations. But I'm not going to recreate negative energy. I'm only going to leave them on a positive note. Like, it's cool. Like, I get it. You like driving a Honda Civic. You like, sleeping next to your, I guess, plus heavy, whatever girlfriend you have or whatever if that brings you happiness, that's fine. But you're telling me that you're not happy with your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving you solutions, potential solutions, and you're not willing to maybe look at it in a different way. And it's upsetting. And I'm sorry, but guess what? My phone number is still this number. When you wake up, I got you. And I leave them up. And then that's how I keep creating positive stuff. A normal salesperson would do at that time was like, oh man, that lead sucks. This lead sucks. Well, you're just not asking the right questions.
Oh, dude, I love that perspective.
Ask the right questions. The right questions. You give me 100 leads of the shitty leads you have, and I guarantee you I'll enroll them. Guarantee you. Guarantee you.
So many more people that need to hear that mindset. That's a mindset, Chris. That is not that is not a strategy. That's you coming into every situation being like, nah, I'm gonna figure out. You're not asking the right questions. There's a what's that whole thing? Have you seen that joke of the horse manure and the giant pile of horse manure in the kids' room?
Yeah, I've seen. Yeah.
He's like, why are you so stoked? There's just a pile of shit. She's like, if that much crap, there's a horse in there somewhere.
There's got to be. There's got to be something in there. Well, here's another thing, the way to look at something, okay? Yeah. Sometimes in life, when you're having conversations and things do work out, ask what was the moment in this process that made you go, I can't wait to do this. I'm going to do this no matter what. What was that moment like? I learned everything just through trial and error.
Well, so let me ask you this in terms of stories. So you're going down this path. You're doing it your own way.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, we're getting crap is a great fertilizer up here from Straight Talk. We're getting we all need a plan. Russ is right. It's like a list, a never be successful list. Like, dude, everyone's resonating. Chris,
it's so true. It's so true though, man. Like you're always going to be in the same situation over and over and over.
So you decide to do your own thing. You're going to script your own way. You're going to talk your own way. When did you know? Was there a moment, impact, a scenario, a conversation where you're like, oh, this is work. This is going to go big. This is going to work. This is it.
They used to give it. I still think it's called Tiger Tracks. They used to give these awards like nationally awards. I mean, this is a this is a major corporation. Okay.
Yeah.
So this wasn't like a small like trade school. Like this is tied into some major stuff.
Yeah.
They had a thing called tire tracks, and I would get these little plaques, like not plaques, but pieces of paper, stupid shit. Right. And you would put them up in your cubicle. Well, I didn't have any room.
Because there are just too many tiger tracks everywhere.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know where to put it. Can we put some in your? Yes, I was born this way. It was crazy, but some would say crazy. I just think everybody else is. So when you're looking at a cubicle, like I would even knock on people like the ones that were trying to enroll students. I'm like, can I put this here? Maybe. And then they started giving you trophies. So I would when I started enrolling people, then obviously went into a director and moved to Texas, and that actually really helps. I got away from my surroundings. And I really started focusing on my career, more of a bigger picture. They started giving you trophies. So when I started enrolling people in the school, have you ever seen that John Gruden commercial where he's sitting at the desk and he's got a Super Bowl ring on, and then someone said something and he disagreed and he stamped it on his desk. He's like, why should I do? And I was like, go polish my trophies, So anyways,
okay, wait, hold on. I gotta go here. I gotta go here on this
sure.
one. This is Straight Talk brought this up, and I need to do this because
Nina,
Chris, you've had tons of success. You've checked so many boxes. You've done so many cool things. If anybody looks it up, they're like, oh wow, this guy's doing it. And then there's the born this way comment, and I want you to go in on this because there's nature, there's nurture, there is born this way. There's people that are born certain ways to view life, but I also believe that there's massive amounts of hard work that goes into it. The harder you work, the luckier you get. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
How do you answer? Like, if Chris is like, "Oh, you're just born this way, Chris. Like, I can't do what you do. Like, you're just magical." So, how do you answer that?
That's I would hear that a lot. They would think that I was doing something unethical, like I was paying them to come to a meeting.
Absolutely.
Or, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, when you get successful, people are like, "You're cheating."
That's the first thing they're going to say to you. They're like, "He's got to be cheating. He's got to be sleeping with the students or something." You know what I mean? He's got to be doing something unethical.
My dad was in mortgage lending for 30 years, and before I got in. And the second I hit my stride and started getting really successful, it was like, well, he must be getting all the business from his dad.
Yeah, it's their own. They don't. That's when they call you lucky. It's lucky, and that's a limiting belief that they're projecting onto to make themselves okay with their negative bullshit results. Okay, so when I would tell people, don't emulate my results, don't try. It's not It's not even the process. This is my process. You need to develop your own process. Can you write me a script? No, I don't know what the hell I'm going to say when I ask the questions. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I do have a framework. The framework was called the idea approach. Introduction, you can't go back after introduction, right? You can only introduce yourself once. You got discovery, and inside that discovery, I'm tying in emotion to that. And I do not leave these two areas until I set the appointment. And we're at the next point of contact. It's the same process, but I'm going to ask enough questions to get the information that I'm going to need to know there's nothing that is going to stop them. Nothing going to stop them. The only thing that's going to stop them is them, and I can help them do it. And even after, when I would enroll them into programs, I would still work. I see them in the campus, bro. I'm like, hey, man, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Like, talk to me. And I still would obviously help them with their own mindset. And I was still working out my own stuff. And then by the time I went to entrepreneurship, and that first year was a monster. And I did apps. I mean, I come from making around 300-ish, about 100 to 30 when I was one of the last positions. I still remember to today, I'm sitting in Vegas, went from Vegas to San Diego, and I was smoking a cigar with some of the major players when it comes to, and they're called internet marketers now, but they get lead gen for education. They're like, you should start your own business. And I'm like, doing what? And they were like, this. And then I started realizing how much money they were making. I was like, what? I said, how much do you make? You made $1 million last month. That's what you said, right?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Sign me up. All right. So, and that was a level of fear. I remember calling my father on San Diego and told him I was going to quit my job and I was going to become an entrepreneur and I was going to do contracts. He told me I was an idiot.
Yeah.
You're an idiot. And he still calls me an idiot, but it's all good. I love him to death. But it's that first year in entrepreneurship, I learned tons. But I was making a lot of money, but then I had a lot of holes in my ship. It's like I said, how can I leverage? Then after that first year, I started my own natural ability and talents. I reached out to a financial guy, one of the best in the game. I was like, I will sell for you for free. You don't have to pay me commission. Teach me finance. Teach me how to structure deals. And he was happy. I made him more money in that first 3 months than it would have probably cost for me to obviously ask for mentorship. Yep. I didn't have the financial means to do it, bro. Mm-hmm. So when that took off, I never paid myself a commission ever again. Never. Commissions built my companies.
Yep.
What I structured deals was I went to a company and set up, I had over 120 something contracts. When I would set up the contract, they would pay me a retainer. I want the retainer. That's what I paid myself. Then after all these contracts, you start making, obviously really good amount of money. When you start doing really well for yourself, what do you do with it? You don't sit at that in the bank. Yep. You start reinvesting. So I only paid myself for the last 7 years. I've only paid myself 20% of what I've earned passive income. I pay myself once a year, right after taxes. Once a year. And that allows me, and every morning at 9 a.m., I get a financial report. How much liquid I have available to be able to potentially invest. And I have a list of companies and a list of things that I can invest into. But not just investing with financial means, also time and energy. And that's where I started getting all these ideas. I'm like, why am I not doing this? Why am I not building something? So that's another thing with the trade schools. Education took a huge dive when Facebook bought Instagram because all these internet marketers were doing lead gen, went online.
Yeah, it changed it all. Yep.
It changed the game. So you've seen a huge dive in education. Well, all these people are making money. And I'm not talking about the ones that sit on a damn yacht and whatever. Hey, you can make this. And I didn't work with those clowns. I'm talking about working with people who are actually doing something and changing lives. Then you get into the self-help space, personal development. These people are great speakers, but they're not business people. Some of them, at least. Yep. And when I started learning how to align my processes within these corporations, they were just giving me a blueprint to $1 billion company. And I was like, I'm going to build these 2 programs. It's my goodbye to education for them to teach them how to sell. And then went to the podcasting. And then it's, but this, it all sounds great, right?
Dude, it does.
Dude, I was sitting I still remember the times, bro, sitting in my boxers with a wife beater on at 4:30 a.m. going, I'm about to lose it all.
Okay. So let's unpack that. Cause and we were joking about this on the podcast.
Right. Yeah.
Like everything on socials is rose colored glasses, dude. Everything's like, oh, it's amazing. It's perfect. It's, killed it. And no one wants to talk about the time that they're sitting at 4:30 in their boxers in a wife beater being like, I'm at the end.
Right.
So share some experiences or stories from that time. What did you do? How'd you deal with that? That's real.
I have a hard time of asking for help.
Okay. By the way, you're not alone, dude.
I know. But what I'm saying is mine is like intensified because it's a level of trust there that I would have to have. Because here's the problem with even I see a lot of entrepreneurs that end up jumping out of windows because they don't know how to deal with their own selves. And the biggest transformation that I ever made in my life, there's a couple different pivotal moments, is when I really started eating my own dog food. I felt like my flu game was better than 99% of people out there because my results spoke for itself. I didn't have to tell people I was good at what I did.
You see my awards?
Yeah. I mean, like you see that. I mean, you think that was an accident.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what people don't understand. But sitting there at 4:30 a.m. in boxers and a white beater going, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with my life. I need to level up. So I started learning, and I learned through observation what not to do. Then reading books is just part of it, bro. If you don't implement anything, you're just going to sit there and just be a lifelong learner. What is it? Brad Lee calls them success zombies. I see these ass clowns going to every event, not knowing anything. And they're mind blown on Clubhouse. I'm here to serve. You're only here to serve from what you're trying to sell. If you do it without trying to make a money on what you're trying to do, then that's going to be level of impact. Like I don't have to make money doing like selling. But if you put me next to you on a phone, there's a good chance there's going to be some transactions happen. And those transactions, they'll go, it's the fear of missing out. People don't want to miss out on something. So speak to what they're going to miss, not what they're going to get.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good nugget right there.
Speak to what they're going to get. Now they're going to contemplate the benefits and features of how it pertains to their life, short-term, long-term.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you what you're not going to get by a normal salesperson. I'm going to bring you heat. So what are the levels of heat? What are the 3 components of heat? Think about this for a second. and bringing fire. So catching something on fire. Look at the fire triangle. Okay.
Yep, I'm there.
You have heat.
Mm-hmm.
Have to have heat. Have to have oxygen. And you have to have fuel. Those three ingredients are different for every individual. And I'm going to identify what those are. And by the time you leave me, I'm going to make an impact. So with me not asking for help and sitting there at 4:30 a.m. going, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
This isn't working out. I knew it mentally. I couldn't go back to going and trading my time for money. I couldn't. So I had to hold myself accountable. So I started reaching out to people and brokering deals. When I started brokering deals, I was like, well, I don't want to sell for companies. Started building corporations, started building people underneath me. When I got to a certain point, what I did is I structured a contract, pay me $200K up front. From that $200K up front, I'm not going to touch it for 3 months, but that's where I'm going to invest my time and energy into something and figuring out how I'm going to map out this alignment. And this is where I met a lot of people out there that call themselves successful just because they buy an article on Forbes. You ain't shit. Because I'm telling you, I'm telling you, bro, I'm telling you, I get involved with some of these people and some of the bigger names out there that you think is successful, and you hear them on Clubhouse sounding all the same. They're not really successful. I went to their financials. They're not making any money for 9 months. I'm like, how the hell did you do? Oh, I made money in crypto. Oh, you're one of those. Okay, got it. So you're not, come on, man. Like, don't pretend, bro. So, and this wasn't a bro, it was a girl. So when you're looking at it, you pay me $200K up front. Once I have everything aligned, I'm going to set up my company. I'm going to set up the salespeople, set up the organization, set up the protocol. And most of these companies never had a protocol ever in their life. Then they go, okay, so what do we do now? I'm like, oh, you don't owe me. That was just for the first 3 months. Now I'm going to take 10% off of everything that's sold within this organization for the next 3 years because the level of impact that I have is a 3 to 5 year window.
Yep.
Because you'll move on to other things. The world evolves, right? As we're having this conversation, the world's going to evolve and the world's going to change. So when you get to that certain point, then I will set up a call center. This is my little, I learned this from, I can't mention the person's name, but I'll tell you what. This guy has closed more deals than anybody I've ever seen in my life, and he probably does around 3 to 4 million a month. No joke. This guy is massive. So when you're looking at this overall, I would set up a call center, organize that, and then I would buy media packs dumping into that because I was investing in myself.
Yep.
I made 10% on everything sold. And then also me brokering a deal, because here's what happens with people that don't want to pay their salespeople. Okay.
Yeah.
You're shooting yourself in the foot. I paid the salespeople. I would structure their deals for them because they couldn't negotiate it. One, level of confidence or understanding of the game. You're paying them 20%. You're paying them 20%. Anything sold over 10K, you're paying them 30. Mm-hmm. And they were like, what? That's insane. I'm going to pay my salespeople 5%. I'm like, well, that's why you're there.
That's this one.
Right? This is why you're always going to be in this bucket.
Yep.
I'm trying to get to the bucket where I don't want to be viewed as successful. I want to be unknown. Like, those are the ones that create wealth, the ones that really pull strings, and you don't know who they are. Like you got the top 10 richest people in the world. Those aren't the richest people in the world. Those are the ones that sign up on Forbes, and you want to see that they're successful. Like, there's people out there in this world right now, and I've rubbed elbows with. There are some serious entrepreneurs. Yeah. And most entrepreneurs that I do meet in that type of way, you get it through a silver spoon, but no one gave me a shot of that in my life. But then more of those come from nothing.
Yep.
And it's not about what you say, it's what you do. What you do, actually execute. Execute. So when people would ask me to come in for a job and I was actually interviewing people and I taught them how to do it, I was saying, listen, what is the last big problem that you've solved? Yeah. And how? That's a definition of true success to me, is how well can you overcome adversity and fire? If you can respond in fire and chaos, you're now on my team.
Well, so Chris, let me ask you this, because everybody that I've talked to that has been successful has had hardship.
Yeah.
Period.
It comes with it, bro.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. And so in the themes of storytelling and kind of the on brand for this season, what have you come through that has been formative? What experience have you had, event, story that was a piece in your life that you had to deal with that was difficult?
There's a couple different ones. My older sister, when she was I was born into a wonderful family. And the reason I'm going to circle back on, even go back this farther. She was born handicapped. Okay. And I was placed in a crib as an infant and learned how to communicate intuitively before I spoke my first word. Okay. And when you have an uncanny ability to be able to really gauge what the person wants, I made it my business, Alec, to know what you wanted without you telling me, and I'm going to drop it in the conversation. So I'm telling you this because when she passed away, I looked at it as a gift. But what I was doing at 15 years old when she passed away, when I was 15 going into 16, I ran away. Been running away my whole life. I went to the military, secretly wanting to kind of like die. I was born picking one of the hardest jobs. Like, I don't care. Go through survivors. You got to go through the grief, right? Go through survivor's guilt. When I got to a certain point, then I got into education, but I just felt like, man, I couldn't live like a fulfilled life because I couldn't feel. I wouldn't allow myself to feel. And that was a problem. Fast forward, let's see, 17 more years or so.
Yeah.
My daughter was born. And when my daughter was born, it's the first time I cried of joy. First time. And then spiraled out of control. 14 days later, she was taken out of my life. And when she was taken out of my life, it wasn't by, she's okay. But it's like, obviously, when you go through a journey of success and you don't have the right people around you, there's sometimes in life, there's people around you secretly wanting you to fail, and they might be sleeping right next to you. And next thing you know, you're exposed. So, however, it's been a long journey. At that time, that moment was the biggest moment in my life. I had a choice. All the money in the world is not going to fix this damn problem. I'm telling you. I would trade it all away, but 12 days now, 612 days, I made one of the hardest decisions. I was forced to eat my own dog food. And from that dog food, 1%, I live and die by this rule. 1%.
Yeah, break this up. I love this. Share it.
So 1%, let's go into this. What's 1% of 24 hours? Think about everybody. 14.4 minutes. If you invest 14.4 minutes, you'll end up having, I think it's 87 more, 87.7, I think, hours.
Yeah.
Or so.
Yeah.
Right? A year. Then you have three days, 16 hours. And that's just dealing with your own shit.
Yep.
So my first 15 minutes of every day, alone time. I wake up, roll out of bed, no phone, no technology goes in there because we're salespeople, right? So what happens with salespeople? You're going to take that shit all freaking day long. But I was never alone in my own thoughts because it was a scary place. Your thoughts can be dangerous or they can be wonderful. The problem is you have to get through all the baggage. So when I started really working on myself and investing that time, that's just my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And this is where I started cleaning all this stuff out. So right when you wake up in the morning is where the frontal lobe, and people don't understand about the human brain, the frontal lobe and the conscious, unconscious part of your brain. So when you start waking up, that's the closest you're going to get to your subconscious mind. Oh. So and I just enjoy the show. Yep. And I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to try to think of anything if my mind, okay, this is some powerful stuff. What is it? Jordan Peterson. Oh. He talks a lot about this.
Love that guy.
It's a strengthening a muscle of holding your attention. Where you strengthening your muscles, not where you're losing attention, is where you put yourself back in a situation to stop thinking about something. You can't control your thoughts. You can direct them. So if you're directing those to a positive outlet, you can transform your life. And I was viewed as one of the best in the game at what I did for a living. And I felt like I was walking around going, I got a big pink elephant behind me and I can't talk about that damn thing because now I'm going to be viewed as weak.
Oh, dude, absolutely. There are so many people I know like that. Absolutely.
This is how some of the best in the game end up killing themselves.
Yeah.
I had nowhere to run, bro. The world pandemic happened.
Jeez.
I had nowhere to run, bro. I couldn't go to Charleston. I couldn't go. I don't drink. I haven't drank in over 6 years. And I couldn't go to a bar. couldn't go get, whatever, couldn't go and communicate with somebody. I'm in a country and I don't even know anybody other than people that we were connected to in my previous relationship.
Dude.
Here's the moment in my life, and it was going through this transformation. I started learning a lot about myself. And when I was going through it, I was like, oh, there's the pattern. See, problems are only, and I'm telling you, they're only subconscious patterns that need to be readjusted and into alignment of what you're wanting and what you deserve in life. Okay. You're always in alignment. Here's what a lot of these people, they don't understand. You're always in alignment, either going one way or this way. If you're in alignment of what you're going after and seeking, then brings you fulfillment and joy, not money, because money just comes.
Yeah.
Money comes and flows in and out of me. I'm going to do what I've got to do. I'm going to make it. So I made more money in 2020 than I did in any year in entrepreneurship. And I did it through my own transformation process, and podcasting not only just changed my life.
Yeah.
Podcasting, I viewed in a way of me interviewing people, and it was very therapeutic for me.
Oh.
I worked out my own stuff interviewing people and having conversations because I was forced to level up.
That's rad.
I forced to level up, bro. And that was you ever seen one of the coolest things I've ever seen, aircraft carrier. And the fighter jets that break through a sound barrier.
Oh, dude.
Boosh. Well, I asked them a question once, and I was sitting on smoke decks back in the day when I smoked cigarettes. But I was 19 years old going, yo, man, what is it like to break through a sound barrier? How cool is that? And he was like, dude, it feels like the plane's going to blow up.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, what? I was like, are you serious? And he was like, dude, the cockpit shakes. It feels like you're about the plane's going to blow up. But then once you get through that resistance, boom, happy day. Well, that's how I view success. So when you break through different layers and those glass ceilings that some people call, when you start breaking through that shit, you can take a step back and go, okay, what did I learn? What did I didn't learn? I learned more from my L's because those L's weren't an L. There's just a pause. And those are exciting because then I'm on the right path. Yep. If I'm coming up short, I'm still making progress. I'm moving that needle, bro. I still got to move it. So when I started doing that, I had a panic attack.
Oh.
Because it was too much too much trajectory moving up. And I still haven't figured out my own, I've built systems my whole life and my whole career. So I had to build a system for my own growth, internal growth. When I started building a system for my own internal growth, I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a heart attack. Of course, I didn't want to call the paramedics and people here. It's not even 911. It's called something else. Yeah. I don't know what the number is. Anyways, but
I should learn that.
Maybe I should learn that shit. But I just call downstairs the concierge. They'll hook me up. So when I got to a certain point, man, I was like, man, I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't want to call them because I didn't want to be prevented from me not to see my daughter. So they're going to tell me I had COVID or some bullshit. You can't have it. You stub your toe, whatever. But so it's fine. Whatever people believe in, whatever. That's the real thing. So I started breaking through those sound barriers and breaking through those levels. I was forcing myself to eat the dog food and then love it. And then love it. Love it more than anything else in this world. I love losses. I love coming up short, and I love when I'm getting so much resistance because I know, because history has proven, as long as I stay focused and dialed in and holding fast and staying true and then loving taking my punches in the face, like, give me another one. Give me another one.
Well, so we got to unpack that a little, Chris. I want you to unpack that because number one, I absolutely agree. And like right here, like L is an L is just a pause. Absolutely mindset correct. But that's hard to execute. That's hard to do. That's hard to be in that pocket. It's hard to get kicked in the teeth over and over again and be like, give me another one.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it? What's your thought process? I mean, it's I know you still feel them. You're not. Of course you do.
I feel more today than I ever have.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm forcing myself to feel while not masking. And I don't drink or I don't take any drugs or anything. I don't like to change anything to change my way of thinking. Because now that I learned through my thoughts, it's transformed my life. And this is where all these ideas come from.
Yes.
There's nothing resisting that. So when I'm taking those punches and I'm taking those and all that resistance, I know because I moved that needle. It's kind of like when Rocky IV, when he punched Ivan Drago and he cut him. Oh my God, he's cut. He's not a machine.
Yep, that's right.
I think we grew up in the best time ever era. Like you had Jordan, we had Rocky. What?
So true, bro.
You know what I mean? And Godfather. What? Rocky? You just watch Rocky. You get on a treadmill or some shit. I don't give it. I don't care if you eating donuts watching Rocky. You need something else other than motivation in life.
Push-ups.
Yeah, man. Like, come on, dude. So when he punched Rocky, when he cut him, when he cut Ivan Drago, he's not a machine. This is real. I'm like, so you mean to tell me that I can be vulnerable, and that's a strength? I can tell my friends that I'm struggling with some battles. Yes. I'm struggling, but I'm learning. I'm growing. The only way out was through, bro. I had to, but not just through and just going through the motions, bro. I had to grow through it. In order to do something that you've never done before, you need to hold yourself accountable on who the hell you are. So when you raise your awareness, you raise everything around you. So when you're like, even now, like I think all salespeople are egotistical a little bit. No. So when you get to a certain point, you need to learn how to manage that ego and putting them to the side. He can't read a book, so give him a book. So when someone else has got a heightened emotional state, an emotional charge, I don't address that with my energy. There's a boundary there. So that was my problem my whole life. I felt like I was pouring into everybody else, and I wasn't pouring back into me, and it wasn't recyclable energy. So that's how I ended up by end of my day being drained. Yep. So when I started growing through this and started learning that I can recycle energy, like how can I stay plugged in? Your iPhone, plug it in, right? Put it on a little charger. If I take it off that charger, eventually it's going to die.
Yep.
That's me. So if I'm not working on things that bring me fulfillment and satisfaction and joy, at some point I'm gonna be irritated. I'm gonna feel like I'm neglecting my life. Right.
I got to tell you the story, and I think you'll appreciate it. So I graduated from UC Berkeley and thought I was hot shit. Right. I got a big old degree.
Look at you, look big time.
Big time. And, you know, I did well in high school. I had great grades. I did well on the SAT, whatever it is now. I checked the boxes. So I remember getting into mortgage sales, and I was told, hey, go out and, you know, effectively get business from realtors, right? Go meet realtors, and they're going to refer you customers. And this is 2003. And so, you know, we had Nokia phones still. Internet wasn't what it is today. But so I went out and I met these realtors, and some of these realtors, some realtors are amazing and some are dog crap, honestly. And anyone who knows in lending knows some realtors are unbelievable. And some are like, why are you even alive? Like, it's terrible. And I remember going to my dad and being like, Dad, these people are idiots. Some of these people that you're asking me to go talk to. And I don't mean just like, forget education. They're just dumb. I'm just like, these are dumb people. And you're asking me to go bend the knee and try to like convince these people to work with me.
Yeah.
And my dad looked at me and he goes, son, I'll never forget this. He goes, that everyone's got to serve somebody.
Oh man, that's powerful.
So, you know, I played volleyball in college and all this stuff. So he's like, so put on the knee pads and serve this community. And I was like, oh my God, because it's true. And you just, the reason you sparked the story in me is because you're talking about sometimes we don't think our shit stinks anymore. If we get success and we're like, oh, dude, we're the man. I've seen mortgage professionals who are driving around Bentleys and Lambos.
Oh, dude, I bought one in cash. and had a driver, and I didn't have a license. I don't even have a license in London. That's why, because I bought it. I had a driver. What the hell is wrong with me? But go ahead, finish. So I love this. What the hell is wrong? I became very egotistical and very pretentious.
I watch mortgage professionals' titles change on LinkedIn to like, you know, real estate investor, crypto.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, you're a loan officer. Like, look, I love you, but like your ego, like what you think you are. I'm like, you give people home loans. By the way, it's it's awesome. I love what my career does. I love what my people do. But like, it's this realization that your ego is a barrier. At some point. And you were talking about it, and it just triggered me because I'm like seeing these people that hit all this level of success, and then they have to pretend their life's perfect. They can't talk about the fact that their life's in shambles over here because they got to have this persona of perfection and success.
You ever seen a billionaire raise his voice?
No, wait, unpack that. What do you mean? What do you mean?
You triggered my brain there. Have you ever seen a billionaire raise his voice or her voice?
I don't know.
Other than Mark Cuban like yelling at a bench, you know, thing. I'm not talking about that. But in their life, they don't raise their voice. What they do is they raise their awareness and they raise their vocabulary. That's a deep message. Think about that message overall. This is how much work I had to put in to come to the understanding that the life that I was recreating and creating for myself, dude, this life that I live right here is a beautiful life. It's a great life. This life that I created today was built 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's reality now. The life that I'm creating moving forward for my future is not going to look like this. It's not going to look like this. What it's going to look like, I can't wait to visualize, can't wait to see it all the way, but I know exactly the level of impact that I'm going to make in the communities and the world. There's a lot of things that are happening in Winject Studios right now. People don't understand how massive this is. This isn't just podcasting, bro. I'm taking over media. I'm telling you, the level of impact that I'm going to make with this $1 billion company is going to change the way that content creators distribute their content, deliver their content.
Yes.
You have content consumers. It's going to change the way that they actually take it in. If you really want to inspire someone, teach them how to do something. Well, I'm going to inspire a content consumer and teach them through podcasting, music, television, and I'm going to give them the education they're going to need, because guess what? I've worked with general counsel. I know how to tick all the boxes. I've already sold 2 programs for $18 million, but I mean, you know what I mean? So what's the point? So I'm going to apply educational approach to when it comes to media and turning just any other random person out there, turn them into a broadcasting media powerhouse and having their own TV show. Well, it's not going to happen overnight.
Of course not.
But
Nothing does.
Through community and everybody helping each other.
Yep.
If you elevate others, you elevate yourself. Eventually.
Dude, I almost want to end the whole thing on that line, because I see you live that, Chris. I see you live that. If you elevate others, you elevate yourself. And I think that the world teaches you it's the opposite.
100%, because all you're doing is you're never going to be satisfied. It's a 7-second rule for me. Dude, I would, no shit, no joke. Like, this is an Apple Watch, okay? Yeah. I bought an Audemars Piguet watch, and I learned how to say it just because I bought it, okay? I bought that watch, and as I'm walking out the store, it was like a $90K watch. Walking out the store, I saw another one. I'm coming back next week for that one. Nothing's ever good enough.
Nothing's ever good enough.
But what's recyclable? The impact you leave on others. It makes you feel good. And who doesn't want to feel good? It feels phenomenal. I'll leave it on this. There's a guy downstairs, and if he's watching this, some of the people in the building watch my stuff, right? But he's Sebastian. So he's a great guy. He's from Germany originally, I think. The COVID happened. I started losing tons of weight. Like, none of my clothes fit, man. None of them. I've lost tons of weight. Like, dude, I'm looking like I did in high school, man. I'm like, I'm just like, what? It's like I walk past a mirror, be like, yes, my man, I'm back. So when he was downstairs, I had a bike, and I was like, yo, I couldn't go to the gym. The gym's right 1 floor up. Okay. Yeah. I couldn't go to the gym. So I was like, yo, man. So I started asking questions. What are you into? Technology guy, right? Plays not Nintendo. What is it called? Xbox. Whatever they do. I don't judge people what they do for a living, like whatever they do on their hobbies. Whatever. Live your life. That brings you satisfaction and joy. He likes crypto, though. Yep. Right before crypto, I don't know anything about crypto other than my finance team obviously invested into it, and then it's done really well for myself. And that's just part of it. I don't know what I'm doing over there. I don't know anything when it comes to it, right? If I don't know something, I'll tell you I don't know. So I know people that have around me to make that happen. I start asking questions. Hey, man, if I gave you a Bitcoin, it was like around like 3K at that time. I'll give you a Bitcoin if you get me a bike in my flat. I got 3 other bedrooms, right? So you give me one of those bikes from there and move it downstairs. I'll give you Bitcoin. He's like, no, you don't need to do that. Can't believe this. You don't need to do that. Transfer the Bitcoin to him. Yep. Fast forward 6 months, it's over 50K.
Yeah, it's huge.
Every time I'm telling you, if I ever want anything, all I do is just send a message. And what the point is, if you're willing to give to others on what they want, they want, but if you actually understand what they need, I could have bought them a video game. That's true elevation.
Bro, that's a universal message, man. That's it. That's the game.
I love it, man. It's so much fun when you do it. And also, would you do it? Not the people that you see on the internet right now, they'll give to charity and they take a picture of it and post the shit. Like, do it without you going and actually getting any satisfaction or getting any type of rewards for it. I'm sorry that I speak frank, and they're so from my heart, man. But some of these people really deserve like to stub their toe like really hard, That's like you ever stubbed your toe so hard, man, you feel like it fell off? Like,
well, the worst part of stubbing your toe is you know it's coming, and you get that like 4 or 5 seconds where it doesn't hurt yet, and you're just like, oh, it's coming.
Oh, son of a gun. I mean, also, I think that's conditioning in your mind that it's going to hurt. So eventually, you probably end up feeling the same thing you felt when you stubbed your toe before. Seriously. That's a mind screw right there.
Dude. Well, look, guys. For everyone hanging out, we're hitting the end of the podcast, but here's the deal. I'm throwing this up at the bottom of the screen. But Chris is a guy worth connecting with. Chris is a guy worth having in your sphere. Chris is a guy worth letting his voice and influence just surround you as he's living his life. He's full of positivity. He's full of the truth. He's full of authenticity. There's a text community right down there, 843-396-2104. And then Winject community that you're building, Chris, is insane. This is the stories about your life, but when we get into another chance to wrap, you got to share about what you're creating there and how it's going to impact the creator community.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. And there's some of the members of Russ Johns, one of the best people I've met when it comes to media. Okay, when it comes to media, and I'm not just saying by as an individual. He's a community leader of Winject Studios, and this guy's got 35 years of experience in the media space and producing videos. He's got 500 episodes of the pirate broadcast, bro. 500 episodes he just dropped.
I saw his stuff after connecting with you, and it's insane.
It's insane. You got Nina Perez. I swear she's like the Puerto Rican Oprah going to be. Like, she is dumped. She pours into individual unapologetically into them, even if they don't want to hear it. She's still going to give it to them raw. We have a saying when she came onto the show, not today, Satan. Today. Right? Not today. That's one thing that you're not going to do today is give me some motion. So these are people that I get to meet and work with and help them and provide them the resources available that I have to get them to win. And when you start seeing people transform in front of you, I might be the founder and CEO at some point, but eventually in about a year, no one's going to know who's actually the CEO. They'll be like, I don't know. There's a team of massive individuals here. I don't know who's the boss. That's growth. Bro, so much fun.
Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Thank you for being raw and authentic. I know that's just your MO, but man, I really appreciate it. And for you listeners out there, join the text community, jump into Winject, figure out what's going on. And for all you other modern lending podcasters, we will see you guys in the next episode next week. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Peace.